Well, good Sunday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from cloudy San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Hope you guys are ready for a wonderful Sunday. Storytime Sunday, in which I tell succinct stories of spiritual significance for your growth and development. True stories. This one is entitled, Where Did the Tumor Go? Where did the tumor go? So it's no mystery and it's no secret that I am a person who has great faith and hopefully relevant, non-judgmental, full of love faith. Very accepting, very loving. I understand I'm called to do one thing, love, and a few other things. Definitely not judge or be ugly to people. So the story goes like this. My mother had told me years and years and years ago that my uncle, who I love dearly, love he and my aunt and their two kiddos, that his mother had fallen ill, very, very ill, and was admitted to the hospital, and they weren't sure what the issue was. But I know he had lost his father previously, and in fact, his practice was down the street from his mother and father's, just a few minutes. And if you want to talk about a great guy, you want to talk about a great man, this is a great man. My uncle's an amazing man. My uncle is, the kind of guy that would go check on his mom in the morning, and then he would work, and then at lunchtime he'd come and have lunch with his mother, and then of course after work would check on her again before he would go back home. And he just, he's everything that a mother would want in a son, and they had a very special relationship. And I was sad when I heard what had happened and that she was in the hospital and that it did not look good. And that day I just happened to be reading my Bible, and I was reading about all of these amazing things that Jesus did, where he would lay hands on people who were sick and they would recover, and just the evidence of him demonstrating that who he really was. And for those that are in question, I feel you, look up a name, Josephus. Josephus was a Jewish historian at the time that never put his faith in this man Jesus, and yet he did record the miracles and the things that did occur, and so they were undeniable that these were things that happened. Even though he never put his faith in him, he was just a historian. There's historical records of this outside of, the Bible. Long story short, I felt really moved by compassion and very sad because now I wouldn't have gone to the hospital, because I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. I love my uncle, but that's a, private moment. And then my mother had told me the following day that they believed that they found a tumor in her brain, and that it was not looking good. So I was very nervous because, when you put yourself on the line, you put yourself on the line, bottom line. But I thought to myself, and I asked myself, as I still do to this day, the option is to not demonstrate faith. The option is not to do what I know to do. And the option is to just be afraid and be worried about what people will think. What if things don't work? What if things don't happen? Things of that nature. And then fear grips you. But there I am reading it right in front of me. And one of the things it says in the Bible, it says, and these signs will follow those who believe. And one of them is they will put their hands on the sick and they'll recover. Now, I'm going to tell you, in 27 years of walking with the good Lord, I can tell you that is not a 100% it happens every time thing, and I don't even know why. I do know that if you read the Bible, Jesus' disciples, his own people, the people he had fish with in the morning, fish tacos for breakfast, and, lamb in the evening, they didn't get it every time. And he'd even tell them, you have little faith. Seriously? This kind requires prayer and fasting. Come here, bring the kid to me. Boom. Let's do it then. So I know that I'm not looking for a 100% track record. So long story short is I heard that and I felt compelled because of what I know. And I just heard in my spirit, what are you going to do? And I thought, well, I'm going to ask him permission. So I called him up and I said, Theo, can I come to the hospital, and would it be okay if I prayed with your mom? And he said, yes, that would be okay. So I came in, and timing is everything. I looking for parking space downtown and trying to find a place, and just finding the place first of all, and then getting down there and having to find parking. and then getting up and missing the elevator because the door closes, and then you finally get on the elevator, and then you get off on the wrong floor, and the timing of everything. So as I walk up to the nurse's station area to get directions to the room, I walk past and I see my uncle, and he is with the doctor in a room with the door open with all of the x-rays up on the screen. And so all the x-rays are up on the screen, and now, come on guys, I'm a real estate agent and a coach. I am not a doctor. And yet I've seen enough TV shows that when you see a picture of somebody's skull, an x-ray, and a brain, and there is a plum-sized black dot in there, I'm not that smart, but even I know that ain't good. And I came in and he saw me, and I gave him a hug, and I just was silent. And he said, you know, you can stay here. God bless you. And I said, I listened to the doctor, and he began to explain this tumor, that they did not know what it was, whether it was benign or malignant. They did not know what it was going to be, that they were going to have to make a decision because of her age. Do they do this exploratory going into the skull? I mean, what are the options going to be? How are they going to address it? And I knew it was distressing my uncle, and it absolutely broke my heart, because like I said, you know, there's if my boys grow up to treat Angela the way that he treated his mom, I will know I have succeeded as a father, because that's the kind of man he is. And it broke my heart. So in the midst of that, in the midst of what the doctor was showing, that tumor, we came out, and I could tell it just really, my uncle was just not in a good place. He was very distraught. So I said, may I pray with your mom? So we went into the hospital room, and she was not moving. She was just like asleep on the bed. And I began to move over, and I'm still scared to death. I mean, hey, this is bold, right? So I begin to put my hand on her forehead and start praying. Well, she starts moving around, and then a nurse comes in the room. And I mean, this is a big, brooding, kind of tough nurse. And I remember she goes, what are you doing? And I kind of freaked out, and I looked at her and I said, I'm praying for her. And she goes, you are? Let me come on in on this. And then she comes and puts her hands on her. Come on, sometimes you got to have some backup. I had some backup. As mom began moving, she began shifting, she began moving around a little bit, and then out of nowhere, she just became still again. And that was it. That was it. And I told my uncle I loved him, and I stayed and talked with him for a few more minutes, and then I ended up sharing some words with him in a different room that I believe I was supposed to share with him, that were along the lines that this was not going to end in an immediate death, that there was going to be additional time given with her for him, and to just have hope and faith and to believe that. And so I did that, and I went home that night. Now you got to remember, guys, I was 20-something when this happened, and I was still very fresh and new in my faith, but I know what it says in the Bible. We get the call about a week later that the doctor takes him in the room to reevaluate and do another exam to see what they should do or what their options are. And the tumor was gone. The tumor was gone. It completely disappeared, which is what we specifically prayed and asked for in all humility. God, one of your names, you have so many names: Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Sitkanu, Jehovah Makadesh, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Shammah. There's so many names to the God of the Bible, and one of them is Jehovah Rapha, the God our healer. And we specifically asked that the tumor would dissipate and disappear, and we got the report the following week. We don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on. There's no explanation for it, guys. It's nothing short of a miracle. The tumor is gone. And she got more time with her son. He got more time with her. The point of my story today is this: all things are possible to him who believes. There's amazing things that can happen when you activate your faith, motivated by love, not for bucks, not for money, not for stuff, not for people to think you're something. And trust me, I know that wasn't me or the other nurse. I know who is behind all of that. My responsibility was faith activated by love and belief in what it said in that word, that these things will happen. And so from that day forward, I've never hesitated to make sure that if there was an opportunity to do that, I would ask permission and I would be willing to move forward by faith to just pray for somebody. So you know anybody who needs prayer today? Shoot me a private message and it would be my honor and pleasure to pray for them. And that is Storytime Sunday. Y'all have an awesome day.